Hey there, Evan Nathaniel Grimm. Welcome to my forecast for the Taurus new moon happening May 19th at 8:53 a.m. Pacific time. I'm calling this new moon a new outlook on life. And this is truly an amazing new moon for manifesting, attracting abundance, and going on new adventures. Now, I'm going to share my screen so that I can break down all the planetary configurations. So as you can see on this chart here, not only do we have the sun and moon in Taurus, of course, but we also have Uranus, Mercury, Jupiter, and the North Node in Taurus. So as I go through today, you want to track where 28 degrees of Taurus is in your chart. Whatever house Taurus occupies in your chart, that's where you're experiencing a new beginning, a fresh start, and an ignition. And so with Taurus, we think about themes of self-worth, personal resources, abundance, and contentment, natural talents, and really this inner richness, but even a connection to nature and all things natural. Scorpio on the opposite axis deals with more shared resources, merging, but also possession. And fixed signs are really about persistence, will, and loyalty. So, let's dive into what this new moon symbolizes for you. So this new moon is really the good news that you've been waiting for. We've been sort of suffering through the eclipse season. I know that's been very challenging, especially for people with major placements and fixed signs. But now that we've let something go and we've maybe reset something during the eclipse, think about those eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus, or sorry, that eclipse, the solar eclipse was in Aries. But anyways, the lunar eclipse in Scorpio, ideally you kind of cleansed your energy. You cleansed your energy field of something toxic or negative. And now all of a sudden Jupiter entering Taurus, it's like an open road, giving you access to realms that you kind of denied for yourself before. So it's kind of like there's a gift and a reward at the end of that cycle. So on the eclipse, it's like we purged something. It may have been a little painful. But now with this new moon in Taurus, it's kind of like the skies are opening up, the road is opening up, and now we can, venture a little bit further into a new, into a fresher direction. And I would say that this new moon really represents power shifts, major power shifts towards freedom, reinvention, expansion, perspective, wisdom, and again, a new outlook on life. And I bring up some of those themes because Jupiter and Uranus are now co-present in Taurus for the first time since Uranus entered Taurus back in 2018. And Jupiter and Uranus do share some traits in common. So Jupiter and Uranus both are about freedom. They want freedom. They want autonomy. They want to take a new sort of perspective on things. And by the way, when Uranus entered Taurus in 2018, Jupiter was actually in Scorpio on the opposite side. And so now it's finally enhancing and expanding these Uranus and Taurus themes that we've been experiencing since 2018. So everything we've been experiencing since 2018, so new values, the sort of influx of new currencies, the reimagining of resources and the supply chain, and how we get food from place to place, and even just technology, the way that we monetize technology. Because Uranus and Taurus has a connection to Uranus being in Aquarius back in the late 90s, which was, of course, the burgeoning era of the internet. And now with Uranus and Taurus, we're finally able to relatively, right? Easily make money using technology. So like when I became an astrologer, I just was able, all I had to do was set up a Squarespace. All I had to do was set up a Squarespace, and that had all these other integrations, and suddenly I could take appointments without having to tell people what my schedule was. The calendar was automated. So we're seeing how automation with Uranus and Taurus is leading to monetization. But we haven't fully observed or witnessed the effects of that until now. Because now that Jupiter is going to Taurus, it's again enhancing these themes. And it's bringing in more success or more, potentially monetary success based off of you going off and doing your own thing. Because Uranus and Taurus is saying, I'm going to reinvent the way that I'm making money. So this is looking like a really strong new moon for entrepreneurship, or even just starting to rethink your values and starting to think bigger picture about, maybe I am tired of my job. Maybe I am tired of working for somebody. And again, that road is finally open. And suddenly it's like, oh, I can actually see the path forward. So, and by the way, ironically, which is, I think is significant, when Uranus went into Taurus for the first time in this cycle, in I think May 2018, we actually had, on the day that Uranus entered Taurus, we had a new moon in Taurus at 24 degrees. Now, honestly, the odds of that are really small. So the fact that we have a new moon here when Jupiter enters Taurus, it's another welcoming of the other planet and saying, finally, we've lined these things up. So I really do see this as a big breakthrough in saying, okay, now I understand what's really been going on the last few years. Now I'm able to connect these different sort of dots and pieces of my life and realize, well, I have these skills, I have these natural talents, which is what Taurus is, and I can easily build a website. I can easily start taking payments. I can easily, whatever else you're trying to do with your business, all of a sudden I can launch that. So this just feels like a launch pad. So this new moon is really nice for, again, setting out on a new monetary venture, a new financial kind of pursuit, a new, business or professional project. Even like, thinking about like new ways of cohering or commingling with nature. So maybe a retreat would be nice to go on during this time. Because obviously there's a spiritual connection to nature that can come out of Jupiter and Taurus. But anyway, so you are, during this new moon and during this era, this really the next year of Jupiter and Uranus being in Taurus, you're really overhauling your values. And again, taking a new approach to earning money, maybe even just pursuing what you love. And then using technology as a tool to further your dreams. So again, whether you think about it through ChatGPT or these website domain hosters, payment systems, it's all very easy to plug into the internet now. It's very easy to broadcast your message on social media. And like literally, as long as you have some type of expertise, you're able to connect with other people in other communities around the world, right? You're able to connect with people with that expertise, hook into that audience, and then drive site traffic. Like, when I started my TikTok, it was only between the time I like really was investing in my videos, which was September 2021. So the time between September 2021 and July 2022, that's all it was between like when I really started investing in this path and when I went full time. And everyone's journey looks different. So it's not to say that everybody can do it in 9 months or whatever, but it's just the fact is, and the beautiful thing is that we actually have the tools. We actually have the tools to very quickly, really connect with the world, connect our expertise with an audience who needs your expertise. And then they become paying customers. That's a model. That's a story that anyone can really tap into right now. But it all starts with Jupiter and Taurus giving you this perspective of like, okay, these are my natural talents. I've always had these capabilities. Like I've always been musical, or I've always been really good at math, or I've always been really good at ceramics, or I've always been really good at painting. Like, why not start a shop? Why not start an online shop, right? Why not start selling these things? So, you're kind of relying on and leaning into your inner Taurus, which is all about expanding with Jupiter here, senses of self-worth, and seeing your natural abilities and your natural talents as something beautiful and worth. Like you're kind of knowing your worth and learning about your worth and getting a bigger perspective on your worth at this time. And by the way, we would be remiss not to talk about Scorpio briefly, because Scorpio is kind of sometimes about wanting what other people have and feeling jealous. So when we think about the opposite axis, where really we just have the South Node there, it's like you're purging and you're letting go of that. So you're getting away from wanting what other people have to embracing what you already have within yourself. And ironically, I think this inner richness can actually lead to much more value creation. So again, there's actually more success by being content. Like contentment breeds more success, in my opinion. And so it's all about honoring the organic sort of natural version of yourself and being rewarded for it, because Jupiter does bring in a certain amount of luck. So again, look at what house Taurus rules in your chart, and that will show you where you're growing. But for the fixed signs, this will be especially positive, especially Scorpio and Taurus. But even if you have Aquarius and Leo placements, I think that this can activate. It will form those hard aspects, those squares. which with Jupiter can really provoke that expansion. Now, Uranus also favors community development. So new communities will be nurtured starting now. And maybe communities that are grounded in something tangible, something real, maybe meeting within nature and rejecting a purely digital future. So as I'm talking about technology, being able to allow you to do what you want, it's also about honoring nature. But then again, it's like technology with Uranus and Taurus, being able to take your business anywhere, take it mobile. A lot of people during this time, starting with this new moon and going over the next year while Jupiter's in Taurus, maybe sort of nomadic and traveling for like because they can be anywhere. All you need is Wi-Fi or whatever. You know, if you're an entrepreneur nowadays in the digital space, you know, you could take a month maybe somewhere and travel a little bit and not necessarily be tied to a home. So anyways, I want to give you some key questions to ask yourself during this new moon. So how have I been underutilizing my natural gifts? How have societal values hampered my success? So again, like, what are your values? Do you value creativity? Do you value love? Do you value happiness? Do you value entrepreneurship? Do you value autonomy? And have you been shutting yourself out and taking the values of society? And has that been hindering things? Where do I feel restless and in need of reinvention with Uranus there? What has grown stale in my life? Where is my autonomy and individuality being underserved? You know, because with Jupiter and Uranus, again, it's all about autonomy. It's all about freedom. It's all about thinking big picture, thinking about the future. And so here, you know, starting with this new moon, again, this is really kickstarting a year-long phase of being a little bit more, you know, kind of feeling as though you have to make a change because Uranus is sudden change. So with Jupiter there, it's like, okay, you know, I am tired of going along with this other person's agenda. Like, I'd rather break away. And then we also keep in mind have the South Node coming into Libra eventually, which is going to be really just rethinking some of those agreements we've made with others, those contracts, you know, even in a political theater, a political sense. And so people are going to be favoring autonomy more and more at this time and valuing that and taking more chances either on their business or whatnot. And then, you know, also a key question to ask yourself is, again, do I have a message to share with the world, either in just a community, you know, in real life or on social media? Because Jupiter Uranus can be exciting new lessons, exciting new perspectives that you can share with people. And with Uranus being the ruler of Aquarius, it's kind of like you can be the water bearer right now with Jupiter Uranus conjunct, and you can do that and monetize that or do that through the internet or whatnot. So it's like people are thirsting for new perspectives right now because they've been stuck for so many years. You know, what's stopping me from enjoying life? It's another good question to ask because Taurus knows how to enjoy things. Taurus knows how to, you know, be content with what it has. Now, also, like, to get away from some of the ambitious stuff, because, you know, some people watching this, I know, will be like, that's great, good for you, you did the entrepreneurship thing, I'm not interested in that. Fair enough. You know, a really good question to ask, I think that anyone should ask, is, am I overlooking the beautiful simplicity of something? Because Taurus actually takes time to enjoy nature, to enjoy the food, to enjoy the music, to enjoy the fabrics. You know, Taurus is content and feels that it has enough. And with that, it just enjoys the abundance. And it can even have a sacred relationship with nature, like I said. So maybe stop and smell the roses right now. You know, or if you're taking a trip, because I know a lot of people are probably taking a trip around this time. If you're taking a trip anywhere to a natural surrounding, natural habitat, you know, really let that simmer, you know, savor that. Now, the ruler of this new moon is Venus, and Venus is in Cancer, forming a nice trine to Saturn, sextiling Uranus. I don't think this necessarily helps or hurts. I think it's just like nice to have. Maybe it helps a little bit because we have a consistency here, right? With like earth and water. We have a lot of earth and water here. So it's like very, you know, it's a little bit more introspective, but it's also very, you know, it can be very warm. Can be a little bit loving. It can be more passive and not really showing its teeth, right? It's like a little bit more, hey, like, let's like come together. Let's even have communities coming together as if they're family. Now, one sort of underlying drama in this new moon, which can be very significant on a global level, is that there is a fixed grand cross forming here. So you'll notice this in the chart. Mars, Pluto, Jupiter, and the nodes, the lunar nodes, are in a grand cross here. So I want to unpack that a little bit, because I think that that could be, that could be very powerful. And again, part of this power shift on a global level. So one way to read this with Jupiter and Taurus, Mars opposing Pluto, is that this could actually deal with like theft in the news. You might be seeing something about like theft or a heist or a seizure of assets, money, or even land by either like an organization, a government, or a company, whatever. So this may play out on multiple levels and multiple archetypes. But I'm just seeing with Mars opposite Pluto, there's a bit of a seizing of something. And Jupiter and Taurus, there may be a lot of money on the line. So maybe it's money leaking out of a crypto exchange or something, or maybe a powerful figure being penalized or fined for something. But even with Jupiter and Taurus, it's almost an expansion beyond a border. So I could even see geopolitically, there's a border dispute or something like that that could be happening. So definitely watch out for that. We're also seeing here with this grand cross, maybe AI advancements disrupting the economy or hiring decisions by firms. This could be more banking strife, because we've seen a couple of banks collapse, like maybe there's something there. But even this could just highlight this really push and pull, this clash between tech companies over like, do we unleash this AI? Do we unleash ChatGPT? Do we keep letting it upgrade itself? So it does feel like there's a darker undertone to some of this. So I'm not pretending like this new moon is going to be like brilliant for everything in the world. Like I think that there's an energy here of this fixed grand cross, which is really active throughout the late May period. This fixed grand cross is a little bit, it's very intense, and it's almost like coercive with Mars Pluto. It's kind of like, it's like someone is trying to take what they believe is rightfully theirs, and maybe taking a lot of it because Jupiter's in Taurus. So I would look out for those things in the news. But again, there could be some type of border disputes between countries. But also I see this fixed grand cross as kind of a test for you on a personal level, because, it's like we're locked in a struggle with the grand cross, right? Like we're not really sure, like, do we want to transform? Do we just want to like stick in the mud or whatever? But Pluto in Aquarius is about transcending duality, as I've talked about in my Pluto and Aquarius video, in chasing the sort of the raw, visceral experience of liberation, joy, and free self-expression and free form expression. So I think like part of this is really about getting out of the this for that kind of argument and going back and forth with people and being petty. Like this grand cross could be almost like the end of pettiness, and with Jupiter and Taurus, Uranus and Taurus saying, I'm going to leave that behind and worry about myself. And I'm going to be my own competition, by the way. I'm going to be my own competition and go forward and just think about how can I improve my life and go inward, because Taurus is more about the inner self-worth. So I think, again, this is a really beautiful new moon. I think all things considered, this is probably the best new moon so far this year. And, with Jupiter and Taurus, again, I don't want to sound too cheesy, but like this kind of is about believing in your capabilities, like believing in your sense of self-worth and knowing your worth and saying, again, like I can start that business, or I can take that trip, or I can go on that journey, or I can start studying this subject, or I can teach this subject, or I can start a social media account and share my expertise with the world and just see what happens. Or I can start that newsletter, because Jupiter is about really conveying a message, like you have something to share with people, really. And I feel as though with Jupiter and Taurus, it's really, I think it's really about, I think there's something here about like succeeding on your own terms. Like, I think that's what this is really about. Succeeding on your own terms and believing in what you already have, like within yourself, and not worrying so much about what follows. But as long as you're not like too self-conscious, then what follows is going to be quite beautiful, because Saturn is a lot more about self-consciousness, right? But Jupiter and Uranus can kind of like tag team right now and be like, all right, we're going to completely eliminate that self-consciousness and just worry about ourselves. So, and again, Scorpio and Taurus are probably going to benefit the most from this Jupiter and Taurus energy, but so will Leo and Aquarius. And, but for all the signs, check based on your rising sign, what house is Taurus ruling? Because that's where you're going to get more opportunities over the next year. So starting with this new moon, you want to basically try to ignite and get that ball rolling and put luck on your side and start that opportunity, like get that opportunity blossoming. So like taking that trip or going to that conference and introducing and networking, joining that community, going on that retreat, or launching that website. Like these are all amazing things. And again, like really be efficient and smart and tactical with technology. How can ChatGPT save you time? How can you kind of outsource certain things to technology and not have to worry about it so much, and focus a little bit more on the passionate side of these things. So again, I'd like to thank you for joining me. We'll have much more, of course, about June. I'm going to do a June forecast. I'm also going to start doing other videos, including a meditation video that I use to manifest. And, this is actually a good new moon, by the way, for manifesting, like I said. So set your intentions in that area of your chart with Taurus, but with Jupiter, just know that those intentions can blossom based on serendipitous opportunities over the next year while Jupiter's in Taurus. So again, stick around for my YouTube channel, subscribe, like the video. And by the way, if you want a reading, you should get one through the link in my bio and down below. Also, I'm hosting a retreat in Croatia in September, so I would welcome you to go. There's a few spots left and there's only a few weeks left to register. Also, I'm teaching an astrology course about how to find your ideal career on May 22nd. And I have a number of other things, so just check the links below. But I appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much and take care.